What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is Will here. That's Casino over there. We are back. Second episode of the week. We are here with a lot of shit on this week's show. We have NFL predictions for week 6, NHL predictions for the season, MLB playoffs, Celtics coach Draymond Green, Russell Westbrook, college football, a bunch of stuff. Casino, how you doing today before we get into all that?
Doing pretty good. Excited for tomorrow. We're doing a game night with us two, our wives, and a few friends. So besides the excitement for that, I'm pretty normal.
And I can't wait for the boys only. What is it? Oh, dang it. I just forgot that game name. What is it? Twister? Boys Night Twister? Boys Only Twister Edition? I can't wait for it, Casino. Can't wait. For some reason, that was the one game you were like, we got to play this. We got to play this. Boys only. And I was like, okay, fine.
It's been sitting in the cabinet. I've been waiting for it.
Yeah. But let's, we have no time to dilly-dally, and we've already started to dilly. Let's just jump right into week 6, Casino. And even though we don't want to, we have to touch on last night's Thursday night game. We did picks off air over our messages, and you picked Commanders, I picked Bears. You won barely because the Bears lose the game half of a yard short at the goal line like that. But that game, man, these Thursday night games, will we have one good one this entire season? I don't think yet. So.
And I totally won that pick off of a coin flip. I literally flipped a coin for the win.
Yeah.
I flipped the coin before the night, and I was like, you know what? It's going to be Washington. That's what the coin said. So.
And I literally just picked the opposite of you because I need to make some traction in these picks. So whoever you picked, I was just going to pick the opposite because I could make a case for either one. Well, and after we saw last night's game, I mean, that proved to be correct. Did you also see, I guess really the only thing coming out of that game is the goal line thing, which, I mean, that's just shit luck. That's how you know you're having a losing team this season, where you just come up short like that. But did you see the controversy coming out of this game, which was Ryan Fitzpatrick after the game said that Justin Fields isn't a pocket passer and he should lean more into running because that's what he's better at, and for some reason people are giving him shit for that?
Well, Fitzmagic on I've watched a lot of his commentary on the table. He's not good.
No,
he's not good. He's
so not. But I mean, that's not a bad take.
No, it's not a bad take at all. But he just needs to go. Just get rid of him.
Yeah, but that whole Thursday night crew is just weird. Like, you have the Kirk Herbstreit who's doing like NFL games, and he really doesn't seem like he knows any of the NFL players except when he obviously talks about them in college and stuff. I don't know. It's weird, man. That whole setup, I don't like it. But yeah, that game, nothing really coming out of that. But this is not even a sneaky good week of NFL. This is like the best week of NFL. We have a lot of games. Let's start right off the bat, which I think is not even a sneaky good game. This is just going to be a good game. The Ravens and the Giants. The Giants obviously being the shocker this season, being 4-1 against a Ravens team that every week they either look like the best team or they give up a giant lead. So they're 3-2. Who you got in this one, Casino?
I'm going to pick the Ravens. I still have Lamar Jackson as the MVP candidate coming out of the league.
Over Josh Allen?
Yes, I do.
All right.
What was my biggest thing with him? And I said that he's an okay quarterback, above average, but was always about his passing. Well, he's crushing it this year with his passing touchdowns. He's got 10 or 11 now. He's doing very, very well. I'm picking the Baltimore Giants. That was the best game last week was the best game Daniel Jones has played in his career. And he played hurt with his ankle. His shirt was swollen. I just don't see him repeating the best game of his career against Baltimore. That's simple as can be.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you. I think the Giants defense, they're ranked 12th right now in the league. They have definitely stepped up more than the offense. We've talked about this multiple times. Daniel Jones had the outlier game last week where he played above average, but this offense runs through Saquon Barkley, both figuratively and literally. So I think the Ravens, well, we haven't seen anything from their defense. Their defense is ranked 28th in the league. They're one of the worst rush defenses defenses in the league. So they really don't. There's no reason why Saquon Barkley shouldn't have a career day against this defense, but I don't think the Giants have enough offense to compete with the Ravens offense, right? Like the Ravens
Correct.
offense is one of the best in the league.
Well, it's because of Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has over a third of their points. So
yeah, well, he is their offense, much like Barkley is the Giants.
You're not going to stop. The Giants aren't going to be able to stop him. He's played better defenses and still lit them up. The Giants aren't going to be able to handle it.
Well, and the Giants collectively as a unit are good, but I don't know if they have that one standout guy that can, pinpoint and take out Lamar Jackson if you're going to QB spy him or try to contain him with your linebackers or safeties.
Right.
I just don't think the Giants have enough firepower to compete with the Ravens and enough on defense to stop the Ravens. So I'm in agreement with you. We're both picking Ravens. Next up, a less interesting game, but still something here where we have the 2-3 Jaguars traveling to Indianapolis to challenge the 2-1 Indianapolis Colts. Who you got in this one, Casino?
I'm not giving up on Lawrence yet. I'm going to pick the Jags. I know that's an underdog pick. Indy is -2, which is not saying much.
No, especially at home.
I think I just have a feeling that Lawrence has to have a good game or he's done again for this season. I think this is his pivotal game. It's Indy. You can have, again, we've talked about it. You can have one, maybe 2 bad games, but you can't have a stretch of them. And I think if he loses to Indy, there's your stretch. So I think he has to win today. And again, it's not all in the quarterbacks, but he needs to start commanding his team a little better.
I agree.
So I'm going with Jackson.
I am actually going with the Colts. I think that they've every game they've won has been one ugly. Like we saw that Broncos game last week where pretty much it was Russell Wilson who gave up that game with just 2 of the worst interceptions you're maybe going to see all season. I think there's something here with the Colts, and I don't know what happened in that Philadelphia game, but it seems to have broke the Jaguars because remember, the Jaguars were coming off that huge victory against the Chargers, huge upset pick. They were up 14-0 on the Eagles. And then the second the Eagles came back from 14-0, it's like, since those 14 points, the Jags haven't been able to do anything.
Right.
Like you said, Lawrence is in like a funk or something, but
he's also, in week 2, they beat the Colts 24-0. So I don't see.
Yeah, but that's that weird thing where the Colts haven't won in Jacksonville in like 8 years, or just like one of those weird NFL stats.
Well, that's fair.
So this could be the revenge game where they don't have that weird juju. So I'm just picking the Colts because I don't trust Matt Ryan, but I trust him more than what we've seen from Trevor Lawrence the past, 4 out of the 5 weeks this NFL season.
That's fair. This pick, if I get it wrong, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. It's too close. They're both not great. So.
Yeah, this is kind of a pick 'em. Next up, Casino, your team, the 2-3 New England Patriots at the 2-3 Cleveland Browns. This one is actually sneaky good.
I have the upset with my team, my New England Patriots winning. It's only a 2.5 difference for Cleveland. My thing is, Cleveland has shown they screw the pooch at the end of the game, and Belichick is good at the end of the game. So going off of that, I think the teams are pretty even when it comes to skill wise. But just going off of Cleveland's been breaking down in the 4th, and especially in those last 5 to 6 minutes, and Belichick exceeds in those last 5-6 minutes. That's his niche. I do think that New England does pull it off here. Plus, I mean, Zappy's playing pretty well. And we got Jacoby Myers back, so that's going to help. And I'm just worried about Jacoby Brissett. I got it right here. I'm talking about both Jacobys now. One with the C, one with the K. But from what I've seen in Cleveland the last few games, I'm worried about Brissett when it comes to the finishing off a game. Plus, Belichick knows Jacoby Brissett and how he plays and knows his weaknesses. I'm sure Belichick will exploit that. Well, so that's where I'm going with there. But I think it's going to be a good game.
Well, we also saw, so the Cleveland Browns are ranked 4th in total offense in the league right now. So they have the 4th most explosive offense in the league. But does that mean anything against a Patriots team that last week shut out the number 1 offense in the league? That was kind of, I wouldn't say the Lions offense is a sham, but it's kind of almost not as good as the tape is making it out to be, because it's led by a Jared Goff type. And I mean, Jared Goff and Jacoby Brissett kind of cut from the same cloth. They both are prone to mistakes. They look good when they have a clean pocket. They look good when they have time. Is the Patriots defense going to give them time? Probably not. Like you're saying, Bill Belichick is known, to know the weaknesses of former players and build game plans to exploit their weaknesses and stuff. But the real thing here is, can this Patriots defense stop the Hunt and Chubb combo? Do you think they can stop that running game?
I do, as long as we could try to contain them inside, because that was our issue last game. Is they kept getting outside on us, but or not last game, 2 games ago against the Packers, is New England just kept letting them go outside. So I think if you contain that, we'll all be all good. But I trust New England's run defense over the Hunt and
Chubb.
Hunt and Chubby Chubb.
So I am picking the Browns because that rush defense you're talking about is allowing 129 yards per game rushing. So I think that they're just going to be able to run it down your team's throat and then just keep it, just keep building that lead.
That's fair. Running
the clock out, building that time. So
I never said the run defense is good, but I do trust their run defense in this
contain
game.
It.
Yes.
Contain it. Let's move to the next game, which is Bengals Saints. Saints coming off that London game, or no, they're coming off that game, the Taysom Hill game, and Cincinnati Bengals trying to rebound from the Sunday night loss to the Ravens. 2-3 Bengals at 2-3 Saints. Who you got in this one, Casino?
This is another close one, but I'm going to go with the Bengals. I mean, the Saints had a really good game last week, but I think you're right where the Bengals are, they're a Super Bowl team. And I think, 5 games or week 6, I think they're going to have it figured out. So that's where I'm going to go with that. I'm calling it nice and easy.
Yeah, I think it's going
to be another close game, I guarantee, but yeah,
I agree.
I'm going Bengals.
I just think the Bengals just have much more to their team and their offense and identity. And I feel like they're the 13th defense. So their defense is playing above average in the league. And then their offense is the one that kind of needs to step up and click, which T. Higgins is the weird, or no, it's not T. Higgins. It's who's the other guy? I'm blanking on his name. The other wide receiver for the Bengals, Casino. What is his name? Jamar Chase. I believe he is the one that's injured. It's either him or T. Higgins that keeps going from questionable to out on this game. I don't know, or I don't really think that'll be a factor in this game. This Saints defense is actually really damn good. They are, or maybe not since last game. I mean, they're not really damn good. They're 17th in the league. Their offense is a giant question mark because Taysom Hill, like we've said, is so hot and cold. He'll have one game where he looks like the best player in the league, and then the next week he'll come out and he'll have 22 yards and there will be like nothing. So I don't trust Jameis Winston. I believe it's still going to be Andy Dalton for this game. He can control the clock and control the game. He's a good game manager, but I don't think they have enough to beat the Bengals, who this is kind of, you talked about, what is it? The Jaguars, this kind of their last gasp. Like this feels like the last gasp for the Bengals. Cause if they get 3-3, it's kind of like, okay, now we're back at, square one. We can kind of build from this, but you go down 2-4, it's basically over. So I am picking the Bengals as well. Let's move on to a far less interesting game. The Buccaneers and the Steelers. Who you got for this one, Casino? Bucks 3-2, Steelers 1-4.
I'm going Bucks. There's too much trouble in Pittsburgh right now. It's kind of embarrassing what's going on in the Steelers organization. I just think the Bucks. Yeah, they have too much talent for the Steelers to handle.
Well, and I don't see really the Steelers' only chance is if Kenny Pickett can kind of, get on the right track. But that Steelers defense, I mean, they got absolutely obliterated by the Bills last week, which makes sense because the Bills are the best team, best offense in the league, best team in the league, best quarterback in the league. So that defense, I mean, it looked like one of the worst in the league. The Steelers, surprisingly, maybe in contention for worst team in the league, which I don't think anybody saw coming into this season, especially with Mike Tomlin as the head coach. But yeah, I think this has potential.
Brady's 12-3 when he's playing. 12-3 when he's playing Pittsburgh, and that's playing good Pittsburgh teams.
Yeah, so I just think Brady, like there's weird teams. Brady just has their number. Obviously,
it's their style of play, and Tomlin plays a certain style of play, and Brady knows how to pick that apart.
Yep.
So that, along with not having players of the past, I think it's a pretty easy call on what's going to happen here.
This definitely has potential to be blowout of the week. This game,
it's at 9.5. So yeah, I mean, I would assume.
Oh, I would actually probably take that. I believe this Bucks team beats them by 10 points or more. That doesn't seem like a stretch. But next up, we have the emerging 3-2 San Francisco 49ers at the sneaky fun 2-3 Atlanta Falcons, who have covered for, I believe, the last 8 games. So what is this line on this game, Casino?
+5 for Atlanta. So -5 for San Fran.
Atlanta plays teams really close. They're competitive. I don't know how. Again, it's that Marcus Mariota effect where everybody likes him, everybody's a fan of him, but then when you watch the games, you're just like, I don't understand why, but I still like him and I still weirdly trust him. The Falcons, again, just fun team to watch. I like their skill positions. I like their skill players. I like their defense, even though it's ranked 27th. I don't know how they're ranked 27th. They don't seem to give up like the big plays or a lot of offense. And then their offense is 24th. So literally bottom half in both offense and defense. And yet they are competitive in every game they play. I don't know what to make of the Falcons at all. The 49ers look like they're just going to start steamrolling people, especially if they keep having people like this on their schedule. I'm going 49ers again, I don't know, blowout, but maybe they don't cover on this one, Casino.
That's fair. However, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go Falcons. And reason being is San Fran has a very banged up secondary. They lost their starting cornerback with Emmanuel Mosley. Also safety Jimmy Ward broke his hand when he came back from his hamstring injury. I think there's too many injuries going on right now for key spots for San Fran. And some of I don't think we're getting back, or the Falcons are getting back. I don't see it.
Well, Kyle Pitts is questionable, and then their starting linebacker Walker is out. So
Cordell Patterson is out for the Falcons as well.
That's probably more concerning to me than their wide receiver being out. Kyle Pitts, when you watch Kyle Pitts play, you're just like, how is this guy not the next Gronk? Right? Like he just looks like he should be this generational tight end, which he was touted as, but he's kind of quiet, like in his games, even in his big games. You don't really hear from him. You don't really see him.
Right. So, I mean, I just have, I have a feeling that the Falcons are going to pull this one off. I could be totally wrong, and this could be my horrible pick for the week. But if I get it right, living legend.
But this is just to dive into this real quick. Kyle Pitts so far this year, 10 receptions, 150 yards. First game, 2 for 19. Second game, 2 for 19. Third, 5 for 87. And the last game was 1 for 25. Like, how is he just not just lighting it up? I don't understand at all. But so yeah, I'm going 49ers. You're going upset pick with the with the Atlanta Falcons. Next up, this game, who would have thought this would have been a circle at the beginning of the year? Like, this is going to be a good game. Jets, the surprising 3-2 Jets at the maybe struggling 3-2 Packers. Will the Packers lose 2 weeks in a row to a New York team?
I'm going, yeah. Yeah. So here's the thing. The Packers, they pretty much kick the AFC's butt at home.
That's the one that's kind of making me second guess, because I'm also going Jets, but this being at Lambeau, if this was in New York, I would take Jets and whatever points I need them to win by. But this being in Lambeau, give me reservations.
But also but the Packers are on their way home from London.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
So crazy. They are not doing the London games where you get your bye after that week. Like, it's weird the Packers or Giants aren't on byes this week.
Yeah. So I think the Jets oddly will pull this off. And if not, just make it a close game. Because what have I been saying? Rodgers, I mean, yes, he lost to the Giants, but again, that was on the best Daniel Jones game of his career.
Yeah. Also in a weird circumstance with London, yeah. And yeah.
But Rodgers knows how to win games. And they were there to win the game. They just screwed the pooch at the end of that. But, I wouldn't be shocked if Green Bay won, but the Jets, I think they have a real shot here, and I'm going to go with them.
I really think
their defense is good.
Well, what you may not know is Packers currently have the top 5 defense in the league. But again, the offenses they are playing, I feel like kind of bolsters those numbers. The Jets defense, on the other hand, is ranked 10th, but 9th and 8th are the Colts and Jaguars. I feel like I take the Jets defense now over both those defenses.
Easily.
And the Packers defense is, again, you've played the Bears, you've played the Giants, you've played the Patriots, like offense, and the Patriots kind of lit that defense up. So and the Vikings obviously destroyed that defense. So I don't know if I trust the numbers on the Packers defense being top 5 in the league. That definitely doesn't feel top 5 in the league. But the Jets weirdly do have an offense or a defense that feels way better. So maybe this is going to be more of a defensive struggle than we think it is. Will that motherfucker, will he step up, Casino? I don't trust Zach Wilson at all, but Jets offense also top 12 in the league. They have a good rushing attack. They have weapons on the outside. I'm going to watch this. Like, my Eagles play Sunday night, so I'm watching 4 games at once at all times. This is going to be a fun game to watch. But yeah, I'm going Jets. Give me the Jets. Jets, Jets.
Jets.
Next up, a less fun game because of obviously what's happened with the quarterback situation for the Dolphins, but the 4-1 Minnesota Vikings at the 3-2 Miami Dolphins. If Tua wouldn't have gotten hurt, or even if Bridgewater hadn't gotten hurt, I think he is in, or no, Skylar Thomas
up.
is
set. Skylar Thomas is playing, and Bridgewater most likely will be his backup if need be.
If this was Tua, maybe like the Dolphins would have won that the game
this
that
Tua
got knocked out of. Yeah, a 4-1 or a potentially 4-1 versus 4-1 with Tua in it. I feel like this would have been a marquee game, but now it's kind of lost some of its luster. I'm going Vikings just because I think the Vikings are maybe the third, fourth, second best team in the NFC. So I think the Dolphins are kind of sliding for kind of reasons out of their control, just bad luck really. But yeah, this had real potential a week ago, or no, like 2 weeks ago to be a marquee game, but kind of lost all its luster. Next up we have, if I can go to it, maybe the only legitimately bad game this week that I have no interest in.
Oh, man, I'm not gonna be able to watch the New York Jets and Green Bay. It's gonna be blocked out in our area.
Go to a bar, casino. Bring the baby.
I'll have to.
Yeah. Maybe the game I'm least interested in this week are 1-4 Carolina Panthers, casino. We're the last two on that bandwagon we abandoned 3 weeks ago, at the 2-3 Los Angeles Rams.
What are you talking about? We were never on that wagon. We were in disguise.
So I'm interested to see, what is the line on this game, casino?
Sorry, I had gotten out of where I was. 10.
Oh my God, how is it that high? You also have the Rams aren't going to have Cam Akers. The Panthers aren't going to have their head coach, Matt Rule. Who is the head coach of this team now? Who's going to be the interim coach?
Have they said it?
I literally have not seen one news article being like, this person has been promoted.
I'm not going and looking into it all, but if it popped up, I would know. But no, I have not.
Yeah, I literally have not heard one name. And still, when you click, because I'm getting all this from NFL.com, when you click on each game, it gives you like the rundown of like news stories heading into this game. There's 15 news stories here. Not one says coach has been elevated, blah, blah, blah. Interesting, though, Baker Mayfield out with an injury. So PJ Walker will be starting. And in every start he's had, he is ranked like dead last in every quarterback stat imaginable. So
you're picking Carolina.
Yeah. I think this is the Rams got embarrassed last week. I don't think the Panthers, I think they're in contention with the Steelers to be maybe shockingly the worst team in the league. And I don't even think it's close. So I think it's Rams in a blowout, and then everybody starts being like, are the Rams back? Are the Rams back? And it's like, no, they're just playing the worst, maybe the potentially worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, so Rams.
But interesting with the Panthers, how no one seems to give a shit that they don't have a coach or have not announced a coach, because literally 15 news articles, not one thing saying offensive or defensive coordinator is now the coach. So who knows? The next up, 2-3 Arizona Cardinals at the 2-3 Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith versus Kyler Murray. Who you got in this one, casino?
This one's gonna be a close one. Man, I think I'm gonna go Cardinals.
Yeah, I don't. Cardinals have 18th ranked defense in the league. The Seahawks, I can't even find on this. Oh, the Seahawks have the dead last offense in the league after allowing 38 points to the Lions or something like that. Like, their defense is as bad as Detroit. I don't know, man, but their offense is so fun to watch. It's so interesting. They have their running back out. So, yeah, I'm picking. Oops. I'm picking the Cardinals on a rebound against a game that I don't think they could have won at the Eagles, but I definitely think it could have been closer. I think if they go into OT in that game, they still lose. But yeah, I think the Cardinals, I like what I saw from them last week. But again, when you're playing the Eagles defense, like they just make you look a lot worse than you are. We've seen that with the Vikings. We've seen that with the Cardinals last week. So I think the Cardinals can definitely put up points against, I believe they're getting Rondale Moore back, or I can't remember if that's his name, but they're getting, I think it's Moore back at the wide receiver position. I'm picking the Cardinals, but this is one I'm not confident in at all. And if Seattle won or this was a shootout or a blowout, I wouldn't be surprised either way.
It is going to be a shootout. The total, the over-unders 50.5.
Oh my God. That's a lot. I mean, but both these defenses aren't good and both these offenses have potential to be good. So yeah, I could see it. Now the next two games are actually, you know what? Let's skip the next two games because they're going to be the two games of the week. Let's go to the Monday night game first, which is the Broncos 2-3.
Another primetime
game for this fucking Broncos team that I feel like I've seen every game of theirs because it's in prime time, and every time they are just abysmal to watch. At the 3-2 Los Angeles Chargers, man, this Broncos defense is actually really good and keeping them in games. They're the third ranked defense in the league. And I mean, when you watch it, no team can move the ball against them. The problem is the Broncos offense is ranked 18th in the league, but they feel so much worse than that.
So much worse.
Russell Wilson, I don't trust at all. It just looks like he doesn't want to play football, let alone for the Broncos. Like he does that cheesy shit where he says the let's ride or whatever at the end of all of his press conferences. Russell Wilson is just annoying. Like, I don't know how else to put it. He's like, but he's not irritating like Aaron Rodgers, where you're like, that guy annoys the shit out of me, but damn it, he's good on the field. Now it's like Russell Wilson has crossed over to where he's annoying and he also doesn't do anything on the field. So it's like, I don't know what to think about this game, Casino. I'm picking the Chargers literally just out of spite.
I'm picking the Chargers because, I mean, they're still a good team. I mean, we've talked about it. They're they battle injuries, but they're still the better team.
Yeah, and that is a thing to watch with the Chargers is a bunch of their key players are injured, and it doesn't look like any of them are coming back anytime soon. So it's kind of like you can see in real time the Chargers just having to readjust their basically entire offense and defense. So their offense is that's the Rams. Their offense is still 5th in the league. And obviously that's Herbert, that's Eckler. Like they have the pieces on offense. I think they're getting Keenan Allen back. They got him back last week or he's coming back this week. But really on this one, it's the defenses. So the Broncos again are top 3 in the league. The Chargers are 23rd in the league. So can this Broncos offense literally put up more than 10 points to beat the Chargers? I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to watch just Herbert against this Broncos defense. But yeah, I'm going Chargers. You're picking Chargers as well?
Yeah.
So now the two games of the week, the rematch from the playoffs last year that obviously had the rule change and was a big controversy for Buffalo Bills fans. 4-1 Buffalo Bills at Arrowhead, 4-1 Kansas City Chiefs, rematch of the century. Who you got for this one, Casino?
I'm going Buffalo. They were my pick to come out of the AFC. I've got to stick with them. It's going to be one fun game, but yeah, Buffalo.
Yeah, I think Buffalo, is clearly the best team in the NFL right now. Buffalo is second in defense, first in offense. Like, I just don't think the Chiefs defense can stop Josh Allen. Obviously, Mahomes, he has he's able to spread the ball around, but it's like if Buffalo's number one defense can take out Kelce, it's like who steps up, right? You have Valdez Scantling, you have Juju Smith-Schuster, you have Nicole, what's that game? Hardman or whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't trust this Chiefs defense. They're 15th in the league. Their average. The offense is obviously Mahomes and Kelce. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire has kind of had a resurgence this year, which I don't think a lot of people were expecting. But this
is going to be a very interesting one because both defenses are pretty injured. I mean, the Bills injury report, they have 15 players. The most notable being safety Jordan Poyer, who sat out last week. Also, their cornerback Christian Benford with a broken hand, linebacker stuff, tight end. But the Chiefs are also thin on defense, where their cornerback Rashad Fenton is dealing with a hamstring. Safety Brian Cook is concussion protocol, and their defensive tackle Tiershawn Wharton is out after tearing his ACL on Monday night. So it's kind of like which offense does better. And I mean, I know Travis Kelce just had their game, just a crazy game, but they're coming off of the short week.
Yeah.
I mean,
and you know what?
That's who just played Monday, right? It was the Chiefs. Yeah.
Yeah, they played against the Raiders. But what's interesting?
So they're coming off on a short week. They have 1 day less to prepare. So
what's interesting is Buffalo is the number one offense in the league. Kansas City is number 6. But really, when you look at their stats, the only difference they really have with each other is Buffalo does 440 yards a game. Kansas City does 381 yards a game, but their rushing is within 2 yards of each other. Their passing yards per game is like 60 yards difference. And then the QBR is within 5 points and the sacks are dead even. And then they convert Bills 56% on third down, Chiefs 53%. And then their time of possession is basically even, same with their points per game. So they are basically dead even across the board in terms of offense. It's really going to be the defense. And like you said, will the injuries be significant enough, or will Von Miller and that Bills defense be able to stop Mahomes? Obviously, you can't stop him, but you can try to contain him to, not doing Mahomes shit. So I don't know. I just think we have seen Buffalo's defense kind of bend, don't break when they played the Ravens and then just blow out teams that have average offenses. But obviously the Chiefs don't have an average offense. I think this will be the game everybody's watching because this is the 2 best teams in the AFC without question. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm picking the Bills, but if the Chiefs win this game, would anybody be shocked? I don't think so. No. All right, Casino, last game, the one that means maybe the most to my entire existence and mood for at least 3 weeks at this point. The 4-1 Dallas Cowboys.
So that being said,
undefeated.
That being said, if you don't hear from us for 2.5 weeks,
the 4-1 Dallas Cowboys at the 5-0, still undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. Who you got in this one, Casino?
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Ooh, you're picking the Eagles.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, I have to pick the Cowboys to keep my streak alive. So why are you picking the Eagles, Casino?
Dude, they still haven't, again, I talked about it every week. They have not shown cracks. Yes, they, teams score on them. It's football. It's the NFL. But when they need to win the game, they win the game. I just think their defense is pretty good. I mean, and Dallas's defense, though, they're no joke. Dallas's defense, no joke. I just don't think they have the offense to compete with the Eagles offense.
The Cowboys offense currently ranks 27th in the league. The Eagles offense ranks number 2. But in terms of defense, the Philadelphia Eagles are 4th in defense. The Cowboys are 7th. And I mean, the Cowboys defense, they've played such juggernauts as the Tampa Bay Bucks, who are ranked 21st, the Bengals, who are ranked 22nd, the Giants, who have ranked 23rd, the Washington Commanders, who are ranked 19th, and the Rams offense, which was ranked 26th. So, I mean, they're shutting down all these juggernaut offenses, right? I mean, right. The highest one was the 21st ranked offense in the league.
I still do think they have a pretty good defense, but you're right. They're not playing the Philadelphia Eagles offense.
Oh, no. I mean, I'm picking the Cowboys because this is the best defense the NFL has ever seen. I mean, I don't know if you watch the talk shows, but Dallas is for real. They have a top 5 bottom offense in the league, but their defense, Casino, it's ranked 7th in the league. Doesn't even matter. It's the best defense that's ever played because it's on the Cowboys and it's coming out of Dallas. I mean, the Eagles, they've played teams where their offense was, the Lions were 3rd, the Vikings were 10th, the Commanders were 19th, the Jaguars were 13th, and then the Cardinals are 15th. So, I mean, and they won all those games against better offenses with their defense, but they don't play in Dallas. The Dallas defense, I mean, Micah Parsons, he is Lawrence Taylor. Right? Put him in the Hall of Fame. He's the best defensive player in the league because apparently everybody forgot Aaron Donald also plays defense. But yeah, I mean, they can't be stopped except for their offense, who throws for under 100 yards every week and rushes with a washed up Ezekiel Elliott and then doesn't give their clearly better running back the ball with Tony Pollard. But no, this will be a blowout. Dallas will win by 45 points because the Eagles are a joke and haven't played anybody compared to Dallas, who has played all these Titans and juggernauts. So it's clearly the Cowboys. I don't care what the spread is, Casino. Dallas by 1 million.
You feel better?
Yeah, I've been waiting for that because, of course, every week obviously we're the only sports podcast, so I've listened to no sports podcast because there's none other that exists besides this one. But
talk shows.
Every television talk show, every radio show just like dismisses the Eagles as if they've been playing fucking like JV, as if they've been playing UNLV football for the past 5 weeks.
Whoa. My Rebels are doing pretty dang good.
I mean, they're actually doing pretty good this season. Yeah.
They're 4-2. And the only reason they lost last game is because they couldn't keep the offense on the field because our quarterback had a concussion.
I mean, well, I'll pick Eastern Michigan. All right. They've played Eastern Michigan for the past 5 weeks, and the Cowboys every single week have played the dream team of NFL teams. Like the media and just the sports talk atmosphere in general wants the Cowboys to be good so bad that they just endlessly hype them up and then just try to downplay their opponents. And it's just like, can we stop? Cooper Rush throws
media lies to us.
What?
Are you saying the media lies to us?
It's so, oh God, like just watching these talk shows where everybody's like, yeah, I guess the Eagles are good, but this Dallas defense is some of the best. And it's like, hey, fuckheads, you realize the Eagles have a better defense than the Cowboys and they've played better offenses, right? Like, you know that. Okay, so can we stop with and then it's just like the Dallas thing. It's like, they got Micah Parsons. And then it's just like, oh, okay, so one guy is great on their defense. What about every other position? What about Trayvon Diggs, who literally gives up the most yards of any quarterback in the league, but because he intercepts the ball a lot, we act like he's a good cornerback. He's not.
No, because he tries to jump routes, and if he gets it, great. But if he doesn't, touchdown.
He's fucking burnt. Like, it's just like, we saw this last year where it's like, well, they keep like, it's like, yeah, you know why quarterbacks kept throwing at him? Because it's either an 80-yard completion or the ball gets intercepted. Like, that's it. There's no, like, quarterbacks aren't scared of him. I believe in Jalen Hurts. Ugh, I just had to get that out, Casino. It's been building in my brain for weeks. But that is our week NFL 6 predictions. The teams that are on a bye this week are the Lions, the Texans, the Titans, and the Raiders, which segues to what we want to talk about with Davante Adams. Has he been given a suspension, or is it still up in the air for how many games he will be suspended?
I haven't heard any number of suspension, but I'm sure there's talks right now of what they're going to give him.
How many games do you think he should be and will be suspended?
2 or 3. I think it has to at least be 2.
I think so too. I don't get why people are acting like, oh, well, that guy shouldn't have stepped in front of him. Like, what are you talking about? A professional football player on Monday Night Football in front of the world literally shoved some dude to the ground, and people are just being like, well, that guy shouldn't have been standing there. Like, what are you talking about?
So what a lot of things I hear on talk shows and whatnot is they're talking about the guy purposely got in his way because he's looking for a paycheck. He was going to sue. Fine, you know what, whatever. But the dude still shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be doing that. Like, you shouldn't get in the way of a professional athlete who just lost because he ran into his own player. He's pissed. But I mean, Davante Adams, he shouldn't shove anybody. You still shove. That's still assault.
Yeah.
All these people trying to defend Davante Adams, like, well, he's a pro athlete and he's trying to get into his locker room, and it's like, go fuck yourself. I don't care. This is a freelance reporter. I actually have a regular at my place of business who is a reporter for the Raiders. Like, she actually goes and talks to players and coaches. So she knows who this person was. She didn't give me any backstory on it, but like, she's livid as a reporter. They're just there trying to do their job. Yes, he was in the wrong spot taking a picture or whatever he was doing. Go around him. Just go around him. And
or literally kind of move him out of the way, just to violently be like, get the fuck out of the way.
See him and you had your head down or you're looking up and you run, or your eyes were closed, but you're looking straight and you just ran into him. Okay. Shit happens. But yeah, you shoved him. You threw him off of you. You chucked him. You said, go home, young dude, and smack your head on the ground. He's very lucky that the dude didn't hit his head back on that concrete and got a Tua out of this.
Well, also really ironic, really funny that the guy who just ran into his own player on the last play of the game then immediately goes off the field and almost runs into another person. Literally, like, he clearly could have seen if he was just looking forward. So if I was that guy, I'd be like, we've already seen that Davante Adams doesn't apparently open his eyes when there's other people around him. So he could have run into me, and instead, he could have easily avoided me, but we just saw 5 minutes earlier that he ran into his own players. So I don't know. I don't think the guy should get millions of dollars, and he's apparently suing for misdemeanor assault, but he should get something because of a stupidity tax or something like that. Like, just dumb. But
I think so. Yeah, 2 games. I think if it's anything less than 2, it's a slap to the face of just patrons that aren't, actual people, because that could be. It's just because he's not a pro athlete or like a super famous reporter, like.
But he's still on the field for a reason. It's not like some random fan who jumped out of the stands.
Right. And they're trying to say, they're like, oh, he was a freelance reporter. And it's like, he's still a reporter.
And yeah, he still had
there. Access to the field. It's not like he's a random, TV host guy that's down there. It's just like, hey, man, with his, he's not bar stooling it up and trying to get in people's faces.
But now we are going to segue. Do you want to go to NHL or MLB? I will give you the option.
Say it again.
You want to go to MLB or NHL?
Let's just go to MLB real quick. That's going to be the longer one. So,
yeah. So we are now in the divisional round, which is the Phillies are up 1-0 on the Braves. The Astros are up 1-0 on the Mariners. The Yankees lead the Guardians 1-0. The Dodgers lead the Padres 1-0. No, it's 1-1. Those games have already happened. So I'm sorry. The Guardians and Yankees are playing right now. They're tied 2-2. The Houston is up 2-0. Series is tied with the Padres and Dodgers, and then the Braves beat the Phillies yesterday. So
everything's 1-1, and hopefully Cleveland can pull this off.
Well, except for Houston Mariners. Astros are up 2-0.
Continue talking about this. I got to grab my phone charger. Go for it.
Okay. So we saw that great is it great? Is anybody who's not a Houston Astros fan rooting for the Astros because we had that cheating scandal a couple years ago? So yeah, when they come back and do something historic like winning 8-7, in the bottom of the ninth, last out, they hit the walk-off. I think it was a 3-1 homer.
Yeah, it was a 3-run homer.
But my question to you, Casino, and I was kind of like just pontificating to the listening audience, is can you really root for the Houston Astros if you're not already a Houston Astros fan because of all the cheating shit a couple years ago? Like, I don't feel like that was a feel-good moment.
No, 100%. The Astros, if you're a fan of the Astros,
you were probably losing your shit.
No, I'm just saying, if you're a fan of the Astros, go fuck yourself. Sorry, I'm throwing that out there.
But man, if that was the Mariners winning 8-7 in that fashion, I feel like it would have been a much bigger story that everybody was like talking about and losing their shit about. But because it was the Astros, it just doesn't feel good. It just makes you feel like, oh, like that's cool and it's historic and it's never happened before. But for it to happen to them, you're kind of just like, I don't know, man. I just don't. I feel like the Astros, this whole team's going to be tainted till the last guy who was in that scandal is gone from this team, right? And then even then, it just, no. I fully admit that Bonds, McGuire, Sosa, that they cheated on their quest to winning the home run titles and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not actively rooting for them, but that doesn't mean I'm also like actively rooting against them because time, right? Like time heals all wounds and all that kind of stuff. The Astros, it's too fresh. It's too, this cheating scandal. It's too, like, I don't have any reverence for this team now because of that.
Right. I agree with you. It's too soon.
Yeah.
It's going to take a couple decades before people like get over it in a sense.
Yeah. I don't know. But as far as all the other series being tied, I think really the ones that are surprising me is the Padres beating the Dodgers, and then the Braves or the Braves Phillies series. The Phillies in general, I think, are just really surprising to me. They had that really hot start to the season. They kind of had the last 2 months where they kind of fizzled out. Then they kind of got hot right before the playoffs. And so far in the playoffs, they've looked fantastic. So far, I've watched every Phillies game. I'm rooting for the Phillies, Casino, just because of my association to the Sixers and the Eagles. But I really feel like that Padres-Dodgers series is just so weird to me. The Dodgers do not look anything like I feel like people predicted them to be coming into this playoffs.
I still think they're going to win it. I think there's, even though, you're right there, and yes, they lost a game to the Padres, but
their pitching just has not looked like what it's supposed to be.
Well, that's what it always happens for them. But I just think that they have the rest of their assets of the game. I think they're just still too good.
I don't know, man. Obviously we just kind of touched on Houston, but I think the Astros, nobody likes them. The Seattle Mariners, I feel like I was seeing a lot of dark horse picks to go to the World Series, maybe even like the next round, and kind of shock the Astros. But I don't know, man. I just think the Astros have just looked like world beaters. They almost look like they're kind of adopting to the Eagles mindset of like no one likes us, we don't care. And they're kind of just shoving it back in people's face, which will definitely garner them more fans. I say sarcastically. I just think your pick for the Guardians and the Yankees, do you feel more confident with the Guardians after seeing them lose in that first game. But I mean, they didn't get like annihilated. It was a close game for most of it.
It's still the Yankees. I mean, they're really good. All I said was, when we talked about it, I just said that the Guardians are a sneaky team. I think that they're sneaky good, and you can't just overlook them. Like,
yeah,
that's
it is bottom of the eighth at the moment, and they're tied 2-2. So if they
but there's
pull
also
out this
two
one,
on, one out, and the Yankees are at bat, so we shall see.
Huh.
But anyway,
but from last thing we'll touch on this so far is from your predictions before the start of this playoffs and seeing how it's played out in the wild card and the first couple games in the divisional round. Has any of your picks changed, or are you still saying it's like kind of wait and see?
It's wait and see, but I think the Dodgers just keep going. I think the Dodgers will just keep going, and if they get upset by Padres, holy hell yes. I mean, I'm not a Padres fan because they have my least favorite player of all time on there, which is Manny Machado. Fuck that little douchebag. He ends people's careers. So he's a dirty player. So I'm not a fan of him at all. He's a little weasel. I hate him more than Altuve, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
They're both little weasel. Little man syndrome.
That's crazy. Your most hated player isn't a Yankees player. That just feels surprising to me because you're obviously a Red Sox fan. So,
well, I mean, my most hated Yankee player of all time is A-Rod, but here's the thing. Almost all Yankee fans hate A-Rod. So it's not special.
Dude, and A-Rod, I think as much as people hated A-Rod as a player, at least he was a good player. Dude, him in the broadcast booth is nails on a chalkboard. He's the fucking worst. Like, how you get caught being a cheater and then are allowed to go into the broadcasting booth and give your thoughts on the sport you knowingly and were like admitted to cheating in is fucking beyond me. Like, that's fucking insane how he's like the face of broadcasting for the MLB as a known cheater, as someone who admitted to it.
It's because he still has a name. Everybody wants to see the name.
That's so crazy to me. But I really do think, even though they just lost 3-0, I really think it could be Phillies Dodgers to go to the World Series. I don't know. Just this Braves team is supposed to be good, but I just really haven't seen it. I don't know, Casino. Again, your Dodgers pick over the Padres. I think the Padres have looked good, but I like you. I think the Dodgers kind of kick into gear and kind of roll them. This Phillies Braves, I could see going maybe to what they do 5. They do 5 this round or 7. It's 5, right? It's 7. Yeah. So I could see them going 7 in this series. I don't know, man. I don't know. But on Tuesday, I believe they will have played only 2 more games in these series. So we'll talk about that more as it keeps going.
I just realized before we get to another sport here, you need to pick your 8+2.
Oh, that's right. So we teased this on the last podcast, but then we ran out of time with the NFL. Most people, Casino, as you know, do a top 10 best teams in the NFL list. I'm not like that, right? I'm better than them. We're the only sports podcast, obviously. So I decided to do my top 8+2 list, which is my top 8 NFL teams at the moment, +2 list. Let's just go right into it, Casino. I'm going to start at number 10 or my 2 of my 1. That's not my top 8. My number 10 team is the Chargers, right? We've seen them. They've been decimated by injury, kind of really hasn't slowed them down. We have seen Eckler take over games, and we've still seen even a beat up quarterback whose name I'm blanking on. Who's the Chargers quarterback? Why am I blanking on his name?
Herbert.
We've seen even a beat up Herbert still put up numbers. They have a top 5 offense in the league. I love them. My number 1 of my top 2, this might be shocking to you, Casino, because they're in my division. I'm actually picking the Giants. that game against the Packers, like they play good defense. Brian Dable has, just ignited something in this team. He seems like a good coach. He seems like a fun coach to play with. Like, I don't know, man. And Daniel Jones, he's not great, but he's not bad, but he's not average. He's like above average and doing just enough and like then some to win games. And then Saquon Barkley is on another level. So now we officially get into my top 8. My number 8 team, it's the Vikings. And they kind of have that Eagles thing to them, which I like, which is we've seen them win a bunch of different games, a bunch of different ways, which is also, it could be inconsistent, but they're all consistent because they're wins, right? The only game we saw them, they got shut out by an Eagles team that at that point, we didn't know how good that Eagles team would be. Now we've seen it. So that loss looks a lot less bad than it was when it happened. Kirk Cousins, as long as he's not playing in prime time, is a top 10 quarterback in this league. I said it. Name 9 better than him. Next up, my number 7 pick. I like the Ravens. Their defense obviously scares me. It's bottom half of the league, but Lamar Jackson, I feel like, is still top 1 or 2 in the league for MVP voting. He has more touchdowns than most teams have touchdowns combined. So I trust Lamar Jackson. I just think nobody can stop him, and they've been trying to for years, and he just keeps beating them in different ways. So Ravens are number 7. Number 6, I mean, we talked about it. They have the best defense in NFL history. The Dallas Cowboys at number 6. Their offense obviously scares me, but they can still beat people with just that running game. Cooper Rush, throwing for less than 100 yards, can just move the sticks. And Cowboys defense looks for real. I mean, they've shut down all those juggernauts. We just talked about this, Casino. My number 5, I still think the Bucks are a top 5 team in this league. They've just been hit with the injury bug early, right? We haven't seen Brady with all of his weapons. They're all starting to come back, and now the Bucks look good from last week. They will continue to look good, I think, this week, and maybe they start rolling now that the Tom Brady is divorcing his wife. He doesn't have to worry about women getting in the way of winning, Casino. And before games now, the only kiss he will get is from his son right on the mouth, and it'll be good luck to go, start rolling, Casino. Next up, my number 4 is the 49ers. I think now that Jimmy G's in there, they're going to start rolling people. We've already seen it kind of start next week. I think it definitely continues at least the next couple weeks with their schedule. They look like they're getting everybody in place to just go for a run here. And I think with how thin the NFC is, they could definitely make another appearance deep into the playoffs. My number 3 team might shock you, Casino. It's my undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. I know. They just have one of the best offenses, one of the best defenses. They've shut down teams and just made good teams look like bad teams. They've done it every week. Every week they're finding new and different ways to win. Their running game's really getting on point. And like Casino said, I said Jalen Hurts is a living God. He's number 3 on the list. My number 2 team, the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't trust that defense. I think they're average. I think they might even be below average, but I don't know. I just trust this Chiefs team. We have Mahomes, Kelsey. There's no tight end like in the league since Gronk left. It's basically Kelsey and then a bunch of other people in this league at tight end. But yeah, Mahomes, Kelsey, defense, as long as they can be serviceable. Apparently Tyreek Hill wasn't needed in Kansas City because now Mahomes just beat you by dinking and dunking to a bunch of random guys. So he can get it done with anybody. My number 1 team, top offense in the league, top 2 defense in the league, the Buffalo Bills. I think they're just rolling people. I don't know what happens this week at Kansas City, but obviously we picked them both to win. But yeah, Buffalo looks like the best team in the league, the best team in the AFC, Eagles, 49ers, Bucks, all right there for best team in the NFC. Do you have any quarrels with my list, Casino?
Yeah, I'm pretty close to it. Maybe, a couple things moved, but I would have the Eagles above the Chiefs right now. Bills still number 1. Yeah. Nope. Oh, I have to take this phone call. So
All right, we can pause right there
I
and
have
then
to
we'll
take this
come
phone
back.
call. Yep. Bye.
All right, we're back. Surprisingly, had to stop the podcast, not for something kid related. Casino had a very annoying phone call. I had to refresh my tea. So we're moving on, Casino, to let's go NHL. So far, I've watched both Golden Knights games, both wins. But I am definitely in when it comes to NHL. I pretty much only watch my team, don't really watch anything else. So much like MLB, this is not my area of expertise. So I'm going to default to you, Casino. What are your takeaways from the first, 3-4 days of the NHL season?
Kind of standard where still some of the same juggernauts over the past few years are still going to be up there. So not too much is changing there. But I think it's going to be a fun and interesting season.
Now I will interrupt you for 1 second to bitch about my two main complaints at the start of the season. One, why are you doing opening night of NHL and you're not having the team that won the Stanley Cup be on opening night? The Colorado Avalanche were on the second night of NHL, and then they did maybe this is why they weren't on opening night. That fucking opening segment where they are getting their rings and revealing the banner and doing the player introductions, it felt like it took 45 minutes. Like I was watching that whole thing and I was like, oh my God, can we speed this up? Like, dear Lord, I get that it's a big moment. Make it 10 minutes tops and then get to the game. That opening was ridiculously long. And then the opening team matchup, they do have the Knights, the Golden Knights versus the Los Angeles, the Kings.
Well, actually, the very first game to open up, I mean, if you want to get real technical, it was Nashville.
Well, yeah, they did the East Coast and West Coast thing.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the real start of the season was Nashville, San Jose, but that was overplayed in Prague. They played 2 games where Nashville swept 2-0.
What
he came home to? I don't know.
What is the NHL doing? What are you doing?
I hate games overseas in any sport. I understand you're trying to appease, but like I just don't get it.
We can segue to NFL real quick for 1 second because that just reminded me. Did you see that report where Roger Goodell wants an entire division in London, 4 teams, like expansion? Like that's going to be the next thing he's like pursuing. How in the fuck would that work? That would be, unless they all play each other and then they just have to come over here for like potential playoff games or whatever. Like what a weird like but as far as my opening night of NHL rant for the West Coast team, why are you playing the opening night NHL? First off, it should have been the Colorado Avalanche, right? Because they obviously won the Stanley Cup. You do the whole presentation, blah, blah, blah. But if you're going to do Kings Knights, why are you doing it in LA instead of doing it in Vegas? Because the Golden Knights have the best, presentation of how to open a hockey game.
Like, I mean, they won the Stanley again this year. That's what they call like best pregame opening. They won the Stanley again this year.
And we've both been to a handful of Golden Knights games. It's fucking awesome every time you hear from other fans of other teams being like, I wish my team did this. It's fucking debatable that it is the best NHL opening. It is without question.
There's so many times I do hate when people in the NHL, they're like, oh man, just get to hockey. This isn't hockey. This is showmanship. And it's like, you know what? Fans still enjoy it. You come to Vegas and you sit there and you're like, oh, This is going to be over the top, but you know what? No, you enjoy it. You're still
Yeah.
smiling. I don't give a shit what you say. You enjoy it. You're
Well,
getting a free
also,
Las Vegas show, so shut the hell up.
well, it's also what Vegas is, right? Like overindulgence in the spectacle of what you're watching. So that goes for everything here. Why wouldn't it go for? I wish the Raiders did more of the spectacle and kind of like did more of that. But it's also spectacle as compared to the Avalanche, who are just doing a 45-minute opening where there's no pizzazz. It's literally just players looking at banners, and you see the rings and you see the Stanley Cup, and it's just like, this is all great. Cut it to 10 minutes. Why are we doing 45 minutes of this? But I just don't understand. Every sport besides the NHL seems to know how to do opening night, and I just feel like the past couple seasons they've just really boondoggled their fucking opening night. I mean, I like that it's 2 nights now, but to have the Avalanche on the second night when they just won the Stanley Cup, and the odds right now to win, they have Avalanche are winning again, followed by the Hurricanes, the Maple Leafs, the Panthers, the Lightning, and the Oilers. Do you have any teams you want to throw in that mix, Casino?
I do. Flames, Colorado Flames, and honestly the Knights, and that's not being biased. I think a lot of people think that we have here in Vegas, there's too much controversy with our goalie and being a new coach. And well, guess what? They're 2-0. They're 2-0. The goalie just had a shutout. Yes, it was against a bad Blackhawks team, and we only won 1-0, but we also beat the Kings, who I do have making the playoffs in the first game. So yeah, I agree and disagree. So we can get into those picks. Let's start with the Eastern. I know you're not too familiar with hockey.
No.
So with the Atlantic Division, my personal picks coming out of there, you have the Maple Leafs, the Panthers, the Lightning. Those are going to be the 3 that guaranteed come out of there. Wild card team out of that division, I don't think too many. I don't think there's going to be a wild card coming out of that side, and if there is, I don't know. So that's where I have coming out of the Atlantic in no particular order. The Metropolitan, I do have the Canes. I have the Canes. I have, oddly enough, I will not too many people will back me on this. But for some reason, I'm liking the New Jersey Devils setup this year, as well as I'm going to go with the Rangers.
Also starting 2-0.
Yeah, also starting 2-0, the Rangers. Actually, you know what? No. So it's either the Devils or the Penguins, but Penguins will make a wild card, and I think the Islanders are right there as well. So then moving over to the Western Conference, coming out of there, Avs, I don't think there's really much that can touch them there. Ooh, excuse me. And then I'll have the Avs, the Stars. Nashville, I can never put my finger on them if they're going to be good or not. So I go Avs, Stars, and even though they lost a couple of veterans and a former Vegas player in Perron, who was their entire scrappiness, I think the Blues come out of there. So those are the 3 for that. And then I think one of the strongest divisions in the hockey right now is going to be the Western, with a lot of people are picking the Oilers to come out. I think the Oilers will start off hot.
You said the Western, you mean this Pacific?
Pacific, yes. The Pacific. I think the Oilers are definitely going to start off hot. They're a good looking team. There's a lot to go for them, but the Flames are a sneaky team.
First sneaky.
Yeah. So I think coming out top of the Pacific will either be the Flames or Oilers. I think Golden Knights get that last 3rd spot guaranteed. And then the Kings pulling into a wild card. The Canucks, Ducks, and Sharks, meh. The Canucks may have a good push, but they're not that good. But the Sharks and the Ducks, they've lost too many players, in the Kraken, who are they? So those are going to be kind of my picks. I don't see the Avs repeating this year. I I think coming out of the Western Conference will be a team from the Pacific. Golden Knights have always had the Avs number. And I think the style of play that Bruce Cassidy is now, who was the former coach of the Bruins, has in Vegas is still going to be able to crush or compete very well against the Avs. But I do think the team coming out of the Pacific probably into the Cup would be the Oilers as well. And then for the Eastern, I know that the Lightning kind of slide and go up. They're still really good. And some people are like, how are the Lightning going to be able to go back to a Cup 4 years in a row? Well, because they're still a really good team. And in hockey, that happens. So I do have either I really would want to say the Maple Leafs, but the Maple Leafs in the postseason absolutely blow. They always screw the pooch. So I would have Oilers, Lightning, and I think the Lightning have now passed their chances of winning the Cup again. But again, they've won multiple in the past. They've won three of 4. So, I don't know, 3 or 4? Was it 3 or 4?
I believe so. Yeah.
Because then the Blues was the year before that. Anyway, so I think it would become Oilers, Lightning, Oilers taking the Cup this year. That is my NHL pick'ems. And obviously, I want the upset and Knights go all the way and win the Cup. Whoop, 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 whoop. But there's some good stacked teams, and there's too much question mark with what's going on in Vegas. So health wise, but these players seem to be healthy after all their surgeries. So I think they'll be able to do it.
And my NHL prediction is I watch more NHL this season than I ever have, just to be able to talk about it on this podcast. That's my promise to you, Casino. Last thing on the NHL, and then we can move to our last few stories and get out of here, is I'm going to read in order from bottom to top of odds to win the Stanley Cup. So obviously the 6 I read are all basically the same. Tell me when there is a legitimate shot for one of these teams to actually maybe make it deep into the playoffs, potential Stanley Cup, to see if there's any value here, Casino. Just say stop when I get to the name. So I'm going to go in order from bottom to top. Coyotes, Blackhawks, Flyers, Kraken, San Jose Sharks, the Buffalo Sabres, Montreal Canadiens, Anaheim Ducks, Blue Jackets, New Jersey Devils, Winnipeg Jets. You think it's Devils?
I think Devils are a sneaky pick. I think they're better than people will think. I think they're going to have a pretty okay year. But I'm not like, that's just one of those, that's a dark horse pick.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. Okay, continue.
So Winnipeg Jets, Ottawa Senators, Canucks, Red Wings, Stars. You think Stars is the pick? I think from what you were saying with your playoff predictions, that would be the one team.
I almost stopped you at Canucks.
I mean, Canucks are plus 5,000. Dallas Stars are plus 4,700. So not bad there. Just maybe throw a couple shekels on there. But all right, Casino, we have a couple news stories, then we'll head out of here. I think college football is the one where it's maybe easiest to predict who ends the season, right? Because they make their own schedules and it's always the top heavy teams just get better every season. So we talked about week 6 in the NFL being the best. It's the best week of football just in terms of games. Week 7 in college football also is just a loaded stack of games. So we have number 10 ranked Penn State at Michigan. I mean, that's I think Michigan pulls that out, but they always have trouble with Penn State. I don't know about that one. Have you been watching any college football this season, Casino?
Not much out of the Rebels. Been too busy.
So then if you will indulge me in a NHL style breakdown compared to Casino, the real interesting thing is since they started paying players, I feel like real quickly the college football landscape has become much closer in terms of the past couple of years, it's been SEC and then everybody else, right? Like we've gotten just terrible championship games where it's blowouts between Georgia and Alabama, LSU. Alabama is always in there. And I really think this week they can be beaten, and I think they will be beaten. That's my upset pick of the week. I think Tennessee,
right? Yeah,
it's number 6 ranked Tennessee against number 3 ranked Alabama. And just,
I will touch on this though. I mean, the Alabama struggles with quarterbacks that are mobile and can move, and Tennessee's got
only ever been beaten by like star quarterbacks, and this guy at Tennessee looks like he has all the intangibles to A, be a star, and B, be another one of those quarterbacks that just like beats Alabama and has like that Heisman moment of beating Alabama. I think he might be the Heisman front runner at the moment, or at least in that top echelon of top 3 or 4, 5 players who can win the Heisman. So I think Alabama, Tennessee is going to be fantastic. I think Penn State, Michigan won't necessarily be a big game, but it'll mean bigger things in the, playoff picture. I think also the sneaky good pick of or game of the week is number 7 USC at number 20 Utah. If you see that little ESPN predictor thing they always have where it's like blah, blah, blah percent of people think this team will beat this team. 65% of people last time I saw it think Utah beats USC. So Utah just has the antidote to this USC team. I haven't really been impressed with this USC team, but they're still winning. And then my team in college football has always just been UCLA. So I think they might be the sneaky pick to win the Pac-12, Pac-10, however many teams it is now. But they are my sneaky pick to win the Pac championship over, USC. But yeah, just a really good week of college football. It's going to be good, Casino. Going to be good. Oh, UCLA plays Oregon. So that'll also be a good game. TCU, Kansas State also looks to be good. Or no, I believe that's next week. But yeah, just sneaky good week of college football, Casino. We've covered all the sports except basketball, which is where we're going to end today's show talking about basketball. We'll do our big NBA preview next week. I love NBA as much as the NFL, so it's going to be good. But the stories coming out of this, we talked about this. How many episodes ago was this? 4 or 5 episodes talking about something the Celtics head coach. So it has come out. We were saying on that, there's no way in hell you get blackballed by the NBA and fired from your team after taking your team to the finals if it wasn't something huge. Well, we were thinking the worst in terms of huge. It must. We were thinking it was something, illegal or something bad like that, but it turns out it was actually awesome. And every employee's dream of just getting one up on your boss or I guess if your boss was a chick or a dude, you're either banging the husband or you're banging the wife. This guy allegedly banged the Celtics owner's wife, and that is why he was fired and blackballed. And is there a cooler way to get fired from your job, Casino, than banging the I don't know who the Celtics owner is, probably a multi-millionaire, a billionaire, whatever, by banging the owner of your team's wife? Is there a cooler way to get fired, Casino?
No, it's pretty up there. And that's not me trying to be like, just a dude going, yes, sex, man. No, that's pretty, like, just on a risky move. Like, you're not, that's risky. And the balls on this guy, like I said, huge.
The literal huge balls. Like, man, what a fucking baller move.
Yeah, but you know what? You know whose fault it's not? It's not her fault. He's got a big old set of balls. So,
I don't even know. I haven't even seen it doesn't matter.
What was going through her head at that time, though? Be like, this is just my boss's head coach, that could ruin the franchise, by having him go. They just took him to the finals. I'm going to bang him.
My God, I really, really hope this story is true and we just don't find out like this was just one of those leaked things where they're like, I don't know where you were getting that from. That's not true. But I'm going to look at the owner's wife right now. I hope she's just like some like 80-year-old woman who they've been married for like 40 years. But of course, she's probably going to be like a Donald Sterling type thing where it's just some really hot chick with just the crypt keeper just because
Yeah.
they love each other. It can't be anything for that.
Ugh.
But dear Lord, what a fucking turn of events. Celtics owner's wife. Her name is Amelia Fazzolari. Sounds like, let's see. I don't know. The Celtics owner, I mean, maybe we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at But now we go to Lakers and Warriors as our last two stories of the day. Casino, we talked about the Draymond Green punch. Do you want to give an update on the Draymond Green situation?
You go for it. You may know a little bit better.
Well, I think as of, I believe yesterday, he was allowed back at practice. I don't even believe he's been fined or suspended.
Hasn't Poole and him had like a sit down talk or something?
Yeah, they had one of those. Apparently it was one of those things where it was like, oh yeah, we're back to, speaking terms. I apologized, all this kind of stuff, yada, yada. So it seems they're putting it behind them, but I really do think Draymond Green has for so many years been, I don't want to say the backbone, but kind of just like a constant in that Golden State Warriors dynasty, and the Golden State Warriors winning last year, I think surprised a lot of people. He wasn't a factor in that pretty much at all.
No,
and
because that was finally that one where everybody was like, Steph's got to prove if he is going to be an elite, he has to win a championship on his back, and he did.
Yeah, and he did. And I don't think Draymond Green really had anything to do with that championship. He obviously had a lot to do with the first three, but I really do think they either trade Draymond or maybe even just cut him by the trade deadline just to kind of get that presence out of that locker room.
You have to.
Well, because Jordan Poole's a great six man. He's always great coming off the bench. He adds some energy to that Golden State team. Obviously, they need the mix of, veteran energy with newer energy. And I think the Golden State Warriors could even be better than they were last year, this year, and just has a potential to, get a repeat victory or whatever. But
and here, you know what? And with the Green situation, say he does stay, say they keep him, you just give him a smaller contract or whatever. If they don't do well, everybody's gonna be like, oh, it's because there's no chemistry, because
because he messed it up, basically. Yeah. And actually, Casino, I have to pause real quick. All right, so let's finish with the last news story, which is a Russell Westbrook story, which another person who I feel like could just be gone from, his current team by the trade deadline, but I don't know who would take his contract. I don't know who would really want him.
You can't get rid of him. Nobody's going to want him.
Now,
not
so
at that price.
It looks like, however, that Russell Westbrook this season will be coming off of the bench. I mean, I think regardless if he's in the starting lineup, if he's on, yeah, no problem. Thank you. I think regardless of if he's in the starting lineup coming off the bench, I think that Lakers team is going to be a dumpster fire. I don't think there's really anything. And Russell Westbrook being on the team or not being on the team is not going to either fix or be a detriment to the Lakers. The Lakers are not going to be a good team this season, and he's not one of the reasons why. I mean, he is obviously, but he's not a major reason why. So I don't know, Casino. I don't know. I think his days as a starter are probably numbered unless it's, on a bad team where he's just the only thing on that team, if that makes sense. But yeah, anything else to add for their Casino?
Nope.
All right. So this has been a longer episode than usual, or at least it feels that way.
I think
Maybe
it is longer.
Yeah.
I think it's a couple.
But we had a lot
hours.
of ground to cover. We obviously had to end Tuesday early. So yeah, we made up for it on this one. But yeah, this has been the Only Sports Podcast. That's Casino. This is Will. We will have a full report of game night at Casino's house on next week's episode. We will also do our NBA preview and talk about this past week in the NFL and college football, which both should be great. We'll also follow more along with the playoffs and NHL. So all the sports getting into motion here, Casino.
Yeah.
All right. Adios.
Bye.